Well, I have a couple things here I want to report. One is that U.S. President Donald Trump may call a major summit to unite Arabs against extremism. And this may go right in line with what I believed for many, many years, that at some point in time, terrorism would be the glue that would bring everyone in the Middle East together. We'll have to wait and see how that really turns out. Right now, all President Trump is trying to do is resolve a problem between Qatar and the rest of the moderate Arab Sunni world. And the problem is they went into this peace accord thinking that they would unite the moderate Arab world, and then that would be the catalyst for sitting down to talks between Israel and the Palestinians with no preconditions. Well, right now the preconditions have been all over the place. Saudi Arabia and his group of Sunni Arabs just sent a list of demands. I think it was 10 demands that Qatar was going to have to comply with if they were to resume normalization of ties between the moderate Arab world. So that's kind of put a monkey wrench in the whole situation that President Trump wanted to get a peace proposal going at least by early 2018. So even though many are pointing the finger at Trump as being the Antichrist, the bottom line is that he has problems as well, and don't think for a second that he's out of the dark right now. As many of you know, Mr. Abbas, behind closed doors, has said that he would stop paying stipends to the families of terrorists who are in Israeli prisons. But to the rest of the Arab world and to his constituents, he's saying, no, that's never going to happen. Well, now it's out. The cat is out of the bag. And the truth is that that's a precondition that Israel has, and the United States has come along with it. So much of the same is beginning to happen right now. I don't know where this is going to head. Israel is still demanding things that the Palestinians need to do before they finally get back to the table. And basically the things that it's probably not going to happen. So in the meantime, President Trump is thinking about having a Camp David type accord or summit before he tries to kick off the Israeli-Palestinian peace talks, which he's going to start off in September. So right now, as far as the peace process is concerned, it seems to be more of the same that was under the Obama administration, that was under the Bush administration, and so on and so forth. But we'll see how Mr. Trump handles this and see if he can finally rein these guys in before it explodes on its own weight. So we'll have to keep watching and see how this goes. Like I said, it's not over until it's over. And here's a story that I think is very prophetic. The Russian engineering corps have started building a new base in southeastern Syria that is only 85 kilometers from central Golan Heights and 110 kilometers from southern Golan, not far from an IDF military position. If you're wondering how far 85 kilometers is, it's roughly 50 miles. Well, why is that so important? Well, it's important because the Bible says at some point in time that Russia and his allies, which would be Iran, and Turkey's in that mix as well, and a number of other countries such as Libya, are going to at some point camp out on Israel's northern border, which basically this is it. And the Bible says in Ezekiel 38 that while Israel is living in peace and safety, that they are going to devise a plan to attack Israel. Well, prophetically speaking, this definitely sets the stage for this attack to take place. Now, let's face it, Russia has already been in Damascus area and in southern, or should I say southeastern Syria for a number of years. But now they are building a jumping off position in which they can amass troops, tanks, heavy armor, and certainly put together a sizable army with their allies in a very short amount of time. And with this base, that even makes it even more simplistic. But there were some sticking points in order for Russia to be able to create this base, and here they are right here. There's a plan that's been devised. And here's what it says. It says, there were reports on Thursday, June 22nd, of a trilateral accord reached between the U.S., Russia, and Jordan for creating a demilitarized zone in southern Syria that would also cover the Israeli and Jordanian borders. Debka file sources asserted that no such accord has been reached. But according to the information, the Russians put on the table a three-part plan for deconflicting the incendiary situation in southeastern Syria. We can reveal its main points. Number one, the American forces will continue to hold its position near the area. In return, they will agree to Iranian, Syrian, and Hezbollah forces capturing from ISIS and holding the border town of Abu Kamel further to the north. So they're going to allow them to stay in that area. Moscow will guarantee the withdrawal of Iranian troops, pro-Iranian militias, and Hezbollah forces from southeastern Syria, the southeastern Syria region, at some point in the process. So at some point they will be, supposedly they'll be gone, but that's probably never going to happen. Number three, a joint U.S. Russian administration will be established to conduct the day-to-day affairs of southeastern Syria, including the areas along the Israeli and Jordanian borders. Washington has so far turned Moscow down on this plan for two reasons. First, the Syrian army's conquest of Abu Kamel would strengthen Iran's grip on the Syria-Iraq border area, the prevention of which is a primary U.S. objection. And second, the Americans want Iranian and Hezbollah forces out of the region before any other steps are taken, instead of later, as per the Russian guarantee. This, the Russian negotiators were not prepared to concede. Well, I have a hard time believing that we're going to be able to force them out of the area, since they're already a big staple, and it is as it is. And they've already got one base. Second base, I'm not so sure, is going to be preventable. But again, we'll have to wait and see how this progresses. But this is something that you definitely should be keeping an eye on, because this is straight out of the Bible, that they would definitely carry on a military presence with their allies, and many of them that were mentioned here will be a part of that alliance. And if you don't know the Lord today is the day of salvation. Don't put it off. 150,000 people will die today. The Bible says that the vast majority of them will end up in a burning hell. Don't let that happen to you. Come to the Lord today. Let Him save you. And you Christians, you need to get a copy of my Tribulation Period Survival Guide. In fact, you need to get multiple copies. Get them in the hands of your lost friends and loved ones. I have to believe that we are getting closer and closer to the Lord's return, His rapture of the church, and then shortly after, I believe the tribulation period will begin. And if there's one thing that your lost loved ones will need, they will need a guide that will accurately take them through the tribulation period. At least for one, the first thing it'll do is tell them how to get saved. That's the first and the most important step of going into the tribulation period. Then it will tell them about the events and how they could possibly combat them. But I would definitely recommend that you get multiple copies of this, hand them out, and get them in the hands of these people that you know and love. Don't let the world tell them what they need to do once the rapture takes place. Well, this is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.